त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तिसुदेशिकेन्द्रं द्वैपायनं सूत्रकृतं मुनीन्द्रं श्रीशङ्करं भाष्यकृतं यतीन्द्रं मद्देशिकञ्चापि नमामि विद्यै। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्यासम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितप्रज्ञानगणः प्रत्यगर्तो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ओम प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। Pranams everyone. We are in the third chapter, Sloka number 3. Shri Bhagavan uvacha Lokesmin dvivida nishta pura prokta maya naga jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. So here Bhagavan is saying there are two types of lifestyles and there are two sādanas. The two lifestyles are Grihastha ashrama and sannyasa ashrama, pravritti marga, nivritti marga, or pravritti nishta, nivritti nishta. And there are two sadhanas, karma yoga and jnana yoga. Here we have a choice on the ashrama or the nishta, but there is no choice on the sadhana. Karma yoga is a must, jnana yoga is a must. And one has to perform karma yoga, attain chitta shuddhi, and then come to jnana yoga, get the knowledge and attain liberation. And we saw Arjuna right now is looking to escape from the war, and therefore he is seeking. This whole thing was an answer to Arjuna's question, and Arjuna's question was, should I do jnana or should I do karma? That was because you are actually promoting jnana and bringing down karma, and therefore should I actually do jnana or karma? Why are you asking me to do karma? That was Arjuna's question. So Bhagavan answered in these as a first preparatory step. He said first, look Arjuna, there are two lifestyles, two sadhanas, karma yoga and jnana yoga. There is no choice with regards to the sadhanas. And he said jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. The sadhana of jnana yoga is to perform that sadhana, it is conducive for a sannyasa ashrama person. And this Grihastha ashrama has been specifically made for karma yoga. Though they are actually, these ashramas are actually created to easily perform these sadhanas, it is not a must that one must be in these nishtas only to perform those sadhanas. The nishtas, the lifestyles do not determine whether a person gets moksha or not. Just because a person has taken up sannyasa does not mean that they have completed jnana karma yoga. And just because they have taken up sannyasa does not mean that they have attained jnana also. Arjuna's misunderstanding was that if he fights this war, he will not get moksha. And to attain moksha, he will have to let go of his duties, take up sannyasa, and only then he will attain moksha. That is Arjuna's thought process. Not only that, he also feels that if a person takes up sannyasa, he does not perform karma yoga or jnana yoga, he will be If he takes up sannyasa, he will be able to perform jnana yoga, he will not do karma yoga, and he will attain moksha. But the fact is, if somebody takes up sannyasa, and if he has not performed enough karma yoga or enough jnana yoga, then at the most he might get some punya for actually renunciation, for renouncing all the worldly pleasures, but he does not confirm that it is not certain that he will get his moksha. Samsara will not leave him until he attains jnana, and jnana cannot be attained until he has chitta shuddhi. And chitta shuddhi cannot be attained until that person performs karma yoga. So this we have to understand. Then the question comes, if sādanas are the one that is going to determine moksha, then why should Bhagavan even give these two lifestyles? Just 2 sādanas should be enough. Why actually mention about these lifestyles at all? As I said, generally speaking, Grihastha ashrama is suitable for performing karma yoga sadhana. And if you want to do jnana yoga, which means jnana yoga means we will have to spend a lot of time on Vedanta vichara. Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, we have to sit, listen, reflect and meditate. And therefore for that, a sannyasa ashrama is very conducive, because sannyasa is an ashrama where we would have given up our responsibilities, and or at least the responsibilities will be minimum. And therefore Bhagavan has given 2 lifestyles. See, Grihastha ashrama in the Vedic system, in our Vedic system, has been designed for the pursuit of karma yoga. To do karma yoga, what do we need? We need possessions. For karma yoga, we need possessions. Possessions as in things, material things we need. We will need money, we will require a place, we will require manpower. And therefore, Grihastha ashrama is an ideal ashrama. Because in our Vedic system, a Grihastha is allowed to own things, to earn money, to actually keep money, have a house, have people around, undertake activities. It's all been designed for that. Whereas a sannyasa ashrama is being designed for knowledge. Sannyasa ashrama, the person is free from all responsibilities, and therefore is not supposed to have any relationship, wife, husband, child, children, no responsibilities, and he is not supposed to possess anything also. Because once you start possessing something, then the question of managing takes over. I have to manage these things. Then I have to find resources to be able to maintain this. Yoga and kshema come into the picture. Yoga means to acquire, acquisition. Kshema means to actually preserve. So a sannyasa ashrama does not allow the person to either acquire or to maintain. By doing so, it gives this person more time to study Vedanta, so that person is fully in pursuit of jnana only. Why does Grihastha karma yoga is needed? For karma yoga, by doing karma yoga, a Grihastha, he is able to remove these unwanted traits like kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsaryam, all those things. By his innate ability or by the ability to share, with the ability to share, to do service, to do panchamahayajna, by doing these things, one is able to overcome all these negative qualities and also imbibe positive values, virtues that are needed for spiritual progress, which is viveka and vairagya. and thereby this person qualifies for Jnana Yoga. And if the prarabdha of a person is such that he takes up sannyasa, then it's fine. If it is not so, then he can actually continue in Grihastha ashrama and continue to perform Jnana Yoga in Grihastha ashrama itself. Shastras does not compel any person to take up sannyasa. That is the essence of this sloka. So here when we say, Bhagavan says, Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam. First, Jnana Yoga. When we say Jnana Yoga, Yogah means that which unites. It comes from the root yuj, yujyate. So in the word Jnana Yoga, what does it unite us with? Yujyate brahmanasaha. Brahmanasaha means that which unites us to Brahman. So Yoga means that which unites, Jnana Yoga means that which unites us with Brahman, that which unites Jivatma with Paramatma. So Jnana Yoga means Jnana, knowledge, is the one that which unites us with Brahman. So if Jnana Yoga is the one which unites us with Brahman, then what can be the gap? Jnana is the one which unites us with Brahman. So we need knowledge to unite ourselves with Brahman. So what is the gap? The gap is ignorance, ajnana. So the gap between Jivatma and Paramatma is not physical. The gap is ignorance. This is what we have to understand here. Next, Karma Yoga. If we talk about Karma Yoga, again, where does Karma Yoga unite us with? Karma Yoga unites us with Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yogena saha yujyate iti Karma Yoga. That which takes us to Jnana Yoga is Karma Yoga. So this is what we understand, or we should understand from this sloka. Sloka number 3. Now we'll go to sloka number 4. Nakarmanarambad naishkarmyam purushošnute nacha sannyasanaddeva siddhim samadigacchati. Nakarmanam anarambad naishkarmyam purushošnute nacha sannyasanaddeva siddhim samadigacchati. So here Bhagavan talks about certain other principles related to action. In the last sloka, Bhagavan had given 2 lifestyles and 2 sādanas. And that's because Arjuna, in Arjuna's mind, he does not want to do any action. He does not want to perform his duty. He does not want to remain in Grihastha ashrama. He wanted to take up sannyasa. Bhagavan knows this. So in these 3 slokas, sloka 4, 5, 6, Bhagavan is going to make certain concepts about action very clear, thereby establishing that one cannot come to Jnana Yoga without doing Karma Yoga. These 3 slokas talk about action, certain principles with regards to action. Important slokas again, so we will see them. So what Bhagavan is trying to establish? One cannot come to Nivritti Marga without performing Pravritti. And if somebody comes to Nivritti Marga directly, then it will not yield the result that he is looking for. So this sloka 4, 5, 6 is trying to cover 3 points. The first one is, see what happens, Arjuna here does not want to get involved in karma or activities. And when Arjuna is saying, I don't want to do action, he is not talking from the standpoint of sattva guna. Remember, in two gunas, sattva and tamo, you may be looking to be calm or lazy, depending on whether you are in sattva guna or tamo guna. In both the places, you may not be able to identify whether this person is calm and quiet because he is actually inherently calm or whether he is lazy. When Arjuna says that he does not want to get involved in activities, in his duties, he is not talking from sattva guna, he is more talking from tamo guna. And if in somebody who is doing in tamo guna, he will not be able to do the sattva guna related activities. For example, meditation. Meditation is when your mind is calm, you will be able to do meditation. A person with tamo guna will not be able to do meditation. If the person tries to do meditation, either he will fall asleep. That's the only thing that he can do, because the mind will not be able to focus on an object for a length of time unless the person is in sattva guna. The mind has to be conditioned, and for the mind has to be conditioned, the person has to come from tamo guna to rajo guna and from rajo guna to sattva guna. So a person who is in tamo guna, how can he spiritually progress? He can only spiritually progress by going to rajo guna. He cannot directly come to sattva guna. So which means he has to perform actions, and only by performing actions he will be able to come to a state where he can come to sattva guna and be calm, do sattva guna related activities, which includes studying scriptures, doing meditation and all. That's why if you see even some of the ashramas like the Ramakrishna Mats and the Chinmaya ashrams, if some their brahmacharis go to the ashram to study Vedanta. When they go and study Vedanta, they cannot be studying Vedanta throughout the day. They cannot be doing nididhyasana and jnana yoga at all times. That's not possible. So what they do, they actually need to do some activities. So the ashram will actually instruct them to do some activities like cleaning the ashram, doing some service to the guru, performing pujas, doing activities so that they are able to overcome their tamo guna and are able to move to sattva guna. Otherwise, if the person is only asked to study and take rest, that person will immediately go back to tamo guna soon. Only if there is a responsibility, only if there is some activity that is given, the mind will come to rajo guna, and only from the rajo guna the mind will go to sattva guna. Therefore, the first point that Bhagavan wants to establish in this sloka is, it is for people who want to say, I do not want to do my duties. I do not want to take up any responsibility. I am not going to involve myself in any activities. Bhagavan is going to address those kind of people as a first point that he wants to clarify. The second point that Bhagavan will address is, Karma Yoga is a necessary, compulsory step for Jnana Yoga. One cannot go to Jnana Yoga without doing Karma Yoga. That point again Bhagavan is going to establish. The third point that Bhagavan will establish is, only the sādanas will determine moksha, not the lifestyle. Again, Grihastha ashrama or sannyasa ashrama does not determine moksha. Remember, in Sloka 3, that was not given by Bhagavan. We had discussed this. When we did the vichara, we had said that one can the lifestyle cannot give moksha. Bhagavan is going to call that out soon. So these slokas are here to address these 3 points, 4, 5 and 6. And how does Bhagavan do? Bhagavan either uses logic or our own experience to establish these points. So in this sloka, for example, in the 4th sloka, Bhagavan is saying, not doing karma cannot be a sadhana. In other words, what is a sadhana? Sadhana is something that will lead me to moksha, the highest spiritual goal. Ultimately, it has to lead me to moksha. He is saying, Bhagavan is saying, inaction, being inactive, cannot be a means to moksha. So if somebody says, I don't want to do any action because I want to attain moksha, that is not an option, that is not the path, that is not a sadhana. Then some people also confuse with the term summa iru, especially when people who are Ramana Maharishi, who have studied books of Ramana Maharishi always says, keep quiet, keep calm, summa iru. But actually that summa iru is not possible. Being quiet, being calm is not possible. It's not possible at all. Summa iru or being quiet is actually the benefit that one gets out of Jnana Yoga. The Jnana Yoga sadhyam, which is moksha, moksha lakshana is being inactive or being quiet. We will see that in the next chapter. Jnana, karma, sannyasa, yoga. We will see about that later. Moksha's benefit is being in inaction. So that is the benefit. Being quiet should not be done as a sadhana. It cannot be taken up as a sadhana. And how does Bhagavan say here? Bhagavan says here, just because one does not start an action, it does not mean it is completed. That is how Bhagavan structures this sloka. To establish what? To establish that being quiet cannot be a sadhana. Not doing karma cannot be a sadhana. What does he say? Just because one does not start an action does not mean it is completed. Abhava cannot be a means to moksha. In other words, inaction cannot give you moksha. That is the essence of this sloka. Moksha is a state of inaction. To reach that state of inaction, you cannot use that as a sadhana. That is what Bhagavan says. Whenever we are going to talk about karma, akarma, karta, akarta, there will be a lot of action, inaction, inaction, a lot of these things would come in. So it can get confusing. So either it's if possible take notes, or if possible listen to this again and again. This particular few slokas and almost the entire 4th chapter, we will be talking about karma, akarma, action, inaction only. These are all very important concepts. Only if we have clarity, we will be able to understand it, and only if we are able to understand it, we will be able to take the benefit out of it. So moksha is a state of inaction. Now what many of us think is that, this being these activities, all these activities, that responsibilities that I have, these are the ones that is stopping me from getting moksha. That's why we'll see here people say, I want to give up everything, go to an ashram, stay quiet. Just I need only 2 meals a day, 3 meals a day. I'll be happy. I will be away from all these things. That is what people generally think. That these responsibilities, these actions are the ones that is stopping me from getting moksha. Bhagavan says, being in that state of inaction is not giving, will not give you moksha. That is not the sadhana for getting moksha. Number 1. And he is also going to say, inaction is not possible also. Abhava is not possible also. And that's what, say I am having difficulty. And because of this difficulty, say I am in sorrow. So if I want to come out of sorrow, or if I want to come out of difficulty, what do I need to do? I need to take actions for me to get out of the difficulty or sorrow. Can I say that this sorrow itself will bring me out of sorrow? In that case, I will be gladly to take up that sorrow, right? No, it doesn't happen that way. Going through sorrow is not the means for me to get out of sorrow. In the same way, inaction cannot be the means to be in the state of inaction. This is what we have to understand. Inaction cannot be the means. So what we have going to say is Brahman is akarta. Brahman does not perform any action. For me to realize that I am Brahman, I cannot say I will be inactive so that I will realize that I am Brahman. That is not how it happens. That is not how it works. That is what Bhagavan is establishing here. Well, let's go to the sloka. Nakarmanam anarambad naishkarmyam purushoshnute. Anarambat. Anarambat karmanam. Anarambat karmanam. Arambat means arambam, we know, beginning. Anarambat means by not beginning or by not starting action. Karmanam means action. So by not starting action means what? By avoiding action. I am not willing to start this activity, which means what? I am trying to avoid that activity. By avoiding action, anarambat karmanam. When we say action here, it includes all the duties and responsibilities. What Bhagavan says? Purushoshnute. Purushaha, then we have to use in the na in the first, na karmanam. Purushaha na ashnute. Purushaha na ashnute means what? Purushaha means a person. Na ashnute does not, ashnute means attain. A person does not attain. What is he does not attain? Naishkarmyam. Naishkarmyam means state of inaction. By avoiding action, a person does not attain state of inaction. In other words, Naishkarmyam means Parabrahmam, liberation, mukti. So by not starting actions, by avoiding actions, a person does not attain liberation. Just because I give up my responsibilities, I will not attain moksha. This is what Bhagavan wants to say. Some people say, if I am, the reason for all my sorrow is the people and the actions that I have to perform on a daily basis. If I am able to quit all these responsibilities, I will be happy, peaceful, I will attain moksha. Bhagavan says that is not the case. then does it mean that if I keep doing all my duties, it will automatically result in moksha? That is also not true. What we have to do for moksha? We will have to convert our duties into karma yoga, attain chitta shuddhi, then get into jnana yoga, attain jnana, get liberated. That is separate path. But what Bhagavan is establishing here, by avoiding actions, by avoiding duties, by avoiding responsibilities, one cannot get moksha. One cannot get moksha by not starting his responsibilities. In other words, by avoiding duties. If person does not want to enter pravritti marga, he will not be able to qualify himself for nivritti marga. Naishkarmyam, I said nishkarma. Nishkarma means non-action. Nishkarmana bhavaha is naishkarmyam, being in the state of inaction. Brahman is in the state of inaction. So when we say naishkriyam, Shastras refer Brahman to be naishkriyam. So Bhagavan is referring to that here. So in the first line, not starting action cannot lead to a state of inaction. So Bhagavan says, if you want to be in the state of inaction, which is the state of Brahman, Brahmasthiti, you cannot be inactive. You cannot be inactive without the right conditioning of the mind, without the right backing of knowledge. If you have those things, then it's different. Then you can afford to be in a state of inaction. State of inaction must come as a benefit. It cannot be the sadhana. Jnana nishta is being referred to as naishkarmyam here. So what is the state of inaction? When we say Brahman, state of inaction, what do we mean by that? It means when the whole world around me is in action. The whole world around me is in action. I am in a state of inaction. When I say I, when I say the whole world includes my body, my mind, my intellect. They are also in action, and I am not them. That we have to understand. When the whole world is in action, which includes my body, my mind, my intellect, they are all in action. But I am not in action, because I am the awareness principle, which is always in a state of inaction, which is not affected by what is happening around. It is asangaha. It is not related to anything that is going around. So just like in a cyclone, the eye of the cyclone, the center of the storm is always calm, even when the cyclone is creating havoc. So in the same way, even when the things around me are in a state of action, I am in a state of inaction. So what Bhagavan is advising Arjuna here? Arjuna, if you run away from battlefield by avoiding this action, you will not be able to attain moksha, because you will still be meditating. Your thought process will be on Duryodhana, Shakuni, all those things only. Because you are trying to avoid action without getting your mind conditioned. Just because you avoid action, it does not mean you will attain liberation. Now in the second line, Nacha sannyasana deva siddhim samadhigacchati. The same thing is again reiterating. The same view he is presenting. Eva sannyasa. Sannyasanat eva. Which means sannyasanat eva means by mere renunciation. By mere renunciation means by just taking up sannyasa. Na samadhi gacchati. Na samadhi gacchati. Na samadhi gacchati means what? One does not attain. Samadhi gacchati. What? Samadhi gacchati? Siddhim. One does not attain what? Siddhim. Siddhi means, siddhi means Parama Purushartha Siddhi. The end goal. Liberation. So Bhagavan is using two words for liberation in this sloka. One is naishkarmyam. We have to understand that's the state of inaction. Then siddhim. Siddhim also means liberation. So Bhagavan says, by mere renunciation also one does not attain liberation. We saw this already when we actually did the vichara on the third sloka. Just because somebody is a sannyasi does not mean he is liberated. In Rishikesh, there are many Mahatmas, there are many sannyasis there. Because it is a Punya Bhumi, a lot of Mahatmas are there. And because in North India also, they feel that it is actually all these people, the Grihasthas, they feel it is their responsibility to feed sannyasis. And therefore, a lot of these places, the food centers have sprung up where they provide free food for sannyasis. Because a Grihastha Dharma says that one must feed sannyasis. So when people see this, some of them who are not real sannyasis also, they start wearing these ochre robes, this saffron color, and they queue up only to get the free food. Just because one wears an ochre robe does not mean he is a real sannyasi also. And just because he has taken up sannyasa also does not mean that he is liberated. So Bhagavan says, by mere renunciation, one does not attain liberation. Then Arjuna could get it out. What is the doubt? In our scriptures, in several places, there are mantras which say that through sannyasa, moksha can be attained. Moksha is attained through tyagaha, renunciation, sannyasam. There are certain statements. That's why the Shastras, we say, should not be studied on our own. We will have to understand the Shastras only from a Sampradaya Guru. Because there are lots of confusing statements. And there is the statement in Purusha Suktam, na karmana na prajaya dhanena tyagena eke amrutatva manasukhu. Na karmana, neither to action, na praja, neither through people, na dhanena, not through money, one will get moksha. Then how will one get moksha? Tyagena eke, only through renunciation. Amrutatvam anasuhu. Amrutatvam means the state of moksha. One can attain moksha only through tyaga, only through renunciation. That is what Purusha Suktam says. Now here Bhagavan says, by renunciation alone, by mere renunciation, one does not attain liberation. So there seems to be like contradictions, but it's not contradiction. Bhagavan wants to clarify. He says, moksha through renunciation, when says tyagena eke, moksha through renunciation, we should add another expression, jnana sahita tyagena amrutatva manasuhu. Jnana sahita means mere renunciation will not give, but only when it is supported by jnanam. A detachment which is supported by jnanam alone will give renunciation. Now, how do we know that? Because there is another Upanishad, there is another mantra that clarifies that. It comes within this section itself. It says, Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitartha Sannyasa Yogat Yadaya Suddha Sattva Aha Te Brahma Loke Tupara Antakale Paramritat Parimuchanti Sarve. It says sannyasa is great, but not the mere ochre robes, the saffron clothing, or not just the sannyasa ashrama, not merely going to Himalayas will give you Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitartha. Vedanta Vijnana. Sannyasa will only work if it is backed by scriptural study. If we remove the scriptural study, sannyasa can become a big problem. What will happen if somebody takes up sannyasa just without having proper qualifications? Bhagavan will tell later. Bhagavan will talk about that later. So here Bhagavan says, Sannyasanat eva na samadhi gacchati. What na samadhi gacchati? Siddhim na samadhi gacchati. Liberation will not happen by merely taking up sannyasa. So, essence of this sloka is, inaction does not get liberation, renunciation also does not get liberation. Then what can give moksha? We have already seen that. Now we'll have to keep that in mind, because generally a lot of times when we are frustrated with our lives, we always think the reason for all these problems is because of the responsibilities that we have to do in our daily lives. These duties are the real issues that we are facing. And the only way to escape or get peace of mind is by escaping these duties, by giving up our duties. And Bhagavan says, avoiding duties will not give moksha. Forget moksha, it will not even give you chitta shuddhi. Because your mind is not ready to give up actions. And remember, just because I continue to do actions also does not mean I am going to get chitta shuddhi. Only if I am able to convert those actions into karma yoga, only then it will serve my purpose. Only then it will give me chitta shuddhi. Similarly, just taking up sannyasa will not give me moksha. Only jnana yoga will give me moksha. If someone takes up, there are people who take up sannyasa even without fully completing karma yoga. What happens to them? They will go to the ashrama. They will do service. They will do service in the ashrama. They will do service in the temple. They will do service in the society, to do within the ashrama itself, or nearby villages, or doing service to the guru. These are also action, and these will be done with the attitude of karma yoga, and thereby they will get chitta shuddhi. Then after getting chitta shuddhi, they will focus on jnana yoga and attain moksha. So Shastra has given up a lot of schemes, lot of options for us to do and pursue this path. We have to know where we stand, and we will have to pick up the appropriate sadhana and ashrama based on that. That is the essence of this sloka. So, the three shlokas, Bhagavan says, what is he trying to answer? One, he's answering three different points. One, the Arjuna's mindset that I do not want to involve in karma. Bhagavan is answering that question. Then Bhagavan is also going to establish that Karma Yoga is a step towards Jnana Yoga. The third thing Bhagavan will say is going to say only sādanas determine moksha, not the ashrama. So now we'll go to the next sloka. Sloka number 5. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krit karyate hyavashah karma sarvah prakriti jairgunaihi. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krit karyate hyavashah karma sarvah prakriti jayagunaihi. So in the last sloka, Bhagavan had said inaction will not lead to liberation. In this sloka, Bhagavan is saying one cannot remain in inaction. Inaction is not possible at all. So we will see the first line and then we will go to the explanation. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtati karma krit. Jatu tishtati akarma krit. Nahi kaschit apikshanam jatu tishtati akarma krit. So he means indeed, na kaschit, nahi kaschit. We say he means indeed, na kaschit. Na kaschit means no one. No one. Apikshanam, even for a moment. Kshanatla, we'll see. Apikshanam, even, api means even for a moment. No one, even for a moment. Jatu tishtati, can ever remain. Tishtati, can ever remain. Akarma kriti. Akarma kriti means without action. Indeed, no one can even for a moment ever remain without action. No one can ever remain without doing action even for a moment. If someone says, no, I can remain. Then we say, can you remain without breathing? Breathing is also an action. So you cannot remain actionless even for a moment. Now in the second line, Bhagavan says, Karyate hevashah karma sarvah prakriti jair gunaihi. All are forced into action by the three gunas. The three gunas force the person into action. Karyate karma. Karyate karma means made to do action. Somebody is made to do action. How? Avashaha. Avashaha means ha avashaha. Vashaha means under control. En vasam ulladu, Tamil we say. En vasham. Vasham means under my control. Avashaha means without control, with no control, with no independence, which means helplessly. So made to action helplessly. Who is helpless? Only some people are helpless? No. Bhagavan says, sarvaha. Karyate hevashah karma sarvaha. Sarvaha. Everyone is helplessly made to do action. By who? Who is triggering them? What is the hetu? Prakriti jaihi. Prakriti jaihi. Ajaha means born. Ajaha means without birth. Jai means ja is the root for birth. So Prakriti jaihi means born out of Prakriti, born out of Maya. What is born out of Maya? Gunaihi, the gunas. What are the gunas? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So who is triggering them? The gunas that are born out of Maya. So everyone is helplessly made to do action by the gunas born out of Prakriti. Prakriti means Maya. What is Maya? Maya is the basis of creation. We have seen in the introduction to Vedanta, when we talked about creation, Maya is the basis for creation. Maya has got these three gunas which go through all the anatma. Every anatma in this world, everything that we see in this as an object in this world is a mixture of three gunas. The mountains, the stones, the rivers, the body, the mind, everything is a mixture of three gunas. What are those three gunas? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So everyone is helplessly made to do action by the gunas that are born out of Prakriti. Does anyone have anger in their control? If it is in our control, then why should we even do that? We will not get angry at all. We do not have control on our emotions. So what does Bhagavan say in this line? He says, so in the first line he says, Nahi kaschit shanamapi jatu tishtatya karmakrit. Nahi kaschit apikshanam akarmakrit jatu tishtati. No one can ever remain in action. No one can ever remain without any action, even for a moment. Why? Because everyone is helplessly made to do action by the gunas born out of Prakriti. So, the first line can be Nahi kaschit shanamapi jatu tishtatya karmakrita can be explained in two ways. For the word kaschit, Shankaracharya takes the meaning to be ajnani. So what will be the meaning of the first sentence? An ajnani can never remain without any action, even for a moment. Kaschit we said no one. Shankaracharya takes it as an ajnani. An ajnani can never be without any action, even for a moment. So if we take this one, you ask Bhagavan's Upadesha, then in the previous sloka, what did Bhagavan say? Bhagavan say, inaction cannot lead to liberation. Inaction cannot lead to the state of inaction. And here he says, Bhagavan says, Arjuna, as an ajnani, you cannot remain without action. So Arjuna, do not try for the state of inaction. Do not leave your duties. Do not attempt sannyasa, because you cannot succeed. Now, we have taken the meaning of kaschit as ajnani. Instead of no one, we have taken ajnani. Only if we take this meaning to be ajnani, it will make sense. An ajnani means what? An ajnani means who does not have this atma anatma viveka. One who does not know this tattva of difference between atma and anatma. One who does not have this knowledge that he is Brahman. One who does not claim aham brahmasmi. For such a person, he cannot remain inactive even for a moment. What is the reason? Because an ajnani is the one who does not have knowledge about Atma. And because he does not have the knowledge about Atma, he takes this anatma to be self. This body and mind to be Atma. As a result of his ignorance. When we say Atma here, what do we mean? We mean self. Why do we say Atma? Because when I say I consider to be a living entity. I say I walk, I sleep, I do, I think, I am angry. We take this person to be a conscious principle, a conscious entity when I say I. Anatma, this body, is actually a jada. It's an inert principle. But I claim myself to be a conscious principle. And therefore, which means what? But I also consider I to be this body and mind. And therefore, when I say I take this Anatma to be Atma. And that comes out of ignorance. But what is Atma actually? Atma is Purnaha. Atma is unchanging. Atma is all pervading. I don't realize that. What is Anatma? Anatma is this physical body, this subtle body, this body and mind. So, an Ajnani, what happens is, instead of taking this body and mind to be not me, he has to, the correct thing we have to say is, the body and mind are mine. It is not me. It is like the book is mine. The laptop is mine, which means I am not this laptop. I am not this book. Similarly, the body is mine, given to me. The mind has been given to me. But what happens? The Ajnani takes the body and mind to be me. I am unhappy. I am hungry. So this Ajnani is the one who has taken the Anatma to be Atma. One who does not know Atma Tattva. One who does not understand the Purna Nishkriyam Atma Tattva. And this Anatma will always be involved in some activity. There is no sense of rest for this Anatma. Just that it goes from one form to another form. More on this we will see in the next class. What is this Atma and Anatma? How does it go from one form to another? We will see more in the next class. Any questions or comments? Okay, we'll see in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.